I'm finding a lot of similarities between the 2024 draft and the 2020 draft when it comes to just overall prospect evaluation. Because like the 2024 draft, going into the 2019-2020 NBA season, before COVID struck and the season went to the bubble, a lot of people were saying that the 2020 draft class was going to be a down year and it was not a good class whatsoever. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? We're back here on the mic and we're going to talk about the 2020 draft class. I did something similar to this a few weeks ago where we talked about how the 2021 draft class is playing out this season and how it's kind of all over the place so far. So we have one more year of experience from the 2020 class that got drafted in November, if you remember. It was obviously just a weird offseason after the bubble. Their first career years were a 72-game season in the 2021 year. And yeah, I'm going to be running through pretty much the whole lottery here and then any picks outside the lottery that I want to talk about. If you guys do enjoy these style of videos, feel free to drop a thumbs up if you want to see more NBA talk style content. And let me know what you guys think of any of these players that I mentioned in the comments below, or just maybe anybody that I don't mention either. So we'll start things off at the top, and it was Anthony Edwards. Now, the Timberwolves got the lottery odds to go their way. This was obviously the second year of the updated lottery odds. They went to the 15% for the top three format in 2019. That's when the Pelicans ended up getting Zion Williamson. So when the Timberwolves got the number one overall pick, it wasn't a guaranteed lock that it was going to be Anthony Edwards. It was between him and LaMelo Ball. So in hindsight, they really weren't going to make a wrong selection. I do think, though, in any redraft, and I think if we're evaluating this class, Anthony Edwards has been the best player in this draft. So yeah, it looks like they made the right selection at number one. Ant was definitely inconsistent at times throughout his rookie season, but he was 19 years old to start off the 2021 season. He was incredibly young. Obviously, we're going to see some inconsistencies. There were some things coming out of Georgia as well that he didn't really have as much passion for the game. And it's funny how much that has been just debunked or just doesn't look like it's aging well whatsoever, because Ant has progressed year in and year out. Last year, he ended the season on such a strong note, having a really solid playoff series against the Denver Nuggets. And then he goes in and plays for Team USA last year in the FIBA World Cup and just dominates, claims that he's the number one guy and showed out. And he was by far the best player on the floor whenever Team USA was playing. And he's carried that momentum into this season where he's now averaging 26 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting 46% from the field and 37% from three, all as a 22-year-old. And we could see how dominant he can also be on the defensive side of the floor when it matters in the clutch. The Timberwolves are the number one seed in the Western Conference at the moment I'm recording this video. They're better than Denver. They're better than Golden State. The LA teams, they're better than everybody in the West. Obviously, it's due to the resurgence also of Rudy Gobert. Cat's been playing better. They have another player from the draft class that we'll get to later in the video. But yeah, it's mainly due to Anthony Edwards, who is a superstar, a franchise building block, and he is 100% living up to the hype as the number one overall pick. All right, Warriors fans, I'm sorry, but we got to talk about James Wiseman going number 2. I think there was some debate on draft night that the Warriors could take whoever doesn't go number 1 between LaMelo or Ant, or they were going to go James Wiseman. I was fine with Wiseman at the time as this pick because obviously the Warriors needed a center. They did have Wiggins. They had the backcourt of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They had Draymond Green, and they didn't have that center for the future. So this seemed like a no-brainer. Wiseman had a very weird college career and season at Memphis where he didn't even end up finishing it. So we saw a very small sample size. And boy, in any redraft, and something I'm going to be doing on the second channel soon. So hey, Warriors fans, subscribe to the Srosh channel in the description. I'm going to be doing a 2020 and 2021 redraft very soon on that channel. But yeah, Wiseman might not even get drafted. Obviously, what could have been with LaMelo Ball or Tyrese Haliburton with this selection, yeah, we could be looking at this Warriors team not just winning the 2022 chip, maybe more going onward. Obviously, them winning the 2022 chip doesn't make this pick look as bad since they still at least got a title, but it really was not much due to James Wiseman. Obviously, it just didn't work out in Golden State. It's a shame. He was fine in his rookie season. I mean, it was nothing too crazy. I think people would get on Twitter and he would just have one really good performance either in the preseason or it was in the fourth quarter of a game and everyone's like, holy crap, this is the James Wiseman we scouted out of Memphis that can go number 2 overall. And then just other nights, it's why is this guy even on the NBA floor? He missed his whole sophomore year with a knee injury, so that kind of derailed somewhat of his third season as well, which was when the Golden State Warriors traded him to Detroit, and it obviously has not worked out at all. This is probably one of the bigger what-ifs from the 2020 onward draft so far. What if they took LaMelo Ball? What if they took Tyrese Haliburton with this selection? But hey, I guess we'll never know. Charlotte ended up taking LaMelo Ball, their franchise point guard here at the number 3 overall pick. There was a lot of draft discourse on LaMelo Ball. Some people didn't really like him because he was not efficient out of the National Basketball League in some contexts, and I think LaMelo Ball still flashed so much as a playmaker in his court vision, and the shot was going to eventually develop because he was a good free throw shooter, and the form is at least there for him. Maybe it's not pretty all the time, but it does go in, man, and I think even in a redraft, say Haliburton and LaMelo are both on the board, I think Charlotte is still fine with what they have in LaMelo Ball. I think I'd rather have Tyrese Haliburton going forward, but yeah, LaMelo Ball has really done well for the third overall pick. It sucks that he's had a little bit of injury history so far in his career. He only played 51 out of the 72 games in his rookie season. He was pretty much healthy all for year 2, and that's when it ended up making the play-in tournament last year. He only played in 36 games. He's played in 15 this year, but he's going to be out for a while, so it's looking like LaMelo might not even hit 65 games this year in year 4, which is a shame because he had a little bit of a slow start, but he was coming on so strong as of late where he was averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and looked like a legitimate number 1 on the Charlotte Hornets team, and probably a player that is so easy to build around. Just give him some athletic shooters next to him, and this team can really go places. Obviously, he's worked well with guys like Mark Williams, so far Brandon Miller, at times Miles Bridges on the team. So yeah, it looks like Charlotte is going to hit a little bit of a downturn without LaMelo Ball. Maybe they're going to end up with another top 5 pick in this upcoming 2024 draft, and there's some good players that they could add to this team. It is a little bit of a disappointment, LaMelo Ball's ability to stay on the floor, but when he's on the floor, he's one of the best point guards in the league. But like I said, Charlotte's not regretting this draft pick. A team that is definitely regretting their draft pick, and that is the Chicago Bulls with Patrick Williams. He has probably been the B word as well, like James Wiseman so far. I think every year we were all saying that Patrick Williams is finally going to break out. This is the season. This is the year. And while he's had some breakouts, at least on the defensive side of the ball, he never really did on the offensive side. And I'm not going to blame Patrick Williams too much because he was always like the 4th option when it came to the offense, at least in the half-court set. You always had Zach LaVine, you had DeMar DeRozan, then you had Nikola Vucevic. He never really had a time to shine as ever a top 3 scoring option. I do think he would benefit from a change of scenery for sure. His 3-point shot has been a little bit better as of late as well. And I do think he can still make his money as a defender in the NBA. Maybe not the $100 million, $200 million contract he once wanted, but if he could find his role as just a complimentary defensive piece to a team that's trying to win a championship, he can make good money in the league. But yeah, this was a little bit of a reach on draft night. Everybody was like, whoa, Patrick Williams, we thought he was going to go in the back half of the top 10, ends up going number 4. I mean, the players that went after him really weren't that much better. We really just kind of upset that you took him there, but yeah, it was still a reach on draft night, even in hindsight, or I guess especially in hindsight. Next up, we have Isaac Okoro, who went 5th to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was the pick out of Auburn. At this time, they did have Darius Garland already, so we thought they were getting maybe a backcourt partner. They also had Colin Sexton as well, so it was kind of going to be the young trio there in Cleveland. And I think something Patrick Williams needs to do is find out what Isaac Okoro is doing, because Okoro is never going to be a 20-point per game scorer in the league. He's never going to be a top 3 scoring option on a team. He's never going to take over a game offensively, but this man has found his role as a 3-and-D guy for the Cavs. He's averaging around 8 points a night, 3.5 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field, 38% from 3. He's not going to shoot you out of games, and he's a very good perimeter defender, and that is so valuable when it comes to playoff time. So it's not like a Matisse Thybulle that's an elite perimeter defender but can't shoot the ball. At least Okoro can put the ball in the basket when needed. Like I said, not going to shoot you out of games, knows his role as a 3-and-D guy. I think Cleveland, knowing they were going to end up getting Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, are completely fine with this pick. Onyeka Okongwu went 6th to the Atlanta Hawks. This is definitely weird at the time since they just acquired Clint Capella in the previous season. And I think Okongwu is really good. He just signed an extension with Atlanta this past offseason. We've just never seen him as the full-time starting center. Come on, Atlanta. In 197 of Okoro's career games, he started 28 of them. 28 of them. You spent the 6th overall pick on him. This is malpractice. I do hope that they move on from Clint Capella sooner than later, and we could see Okongwu with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray full-time going for the future, because he is your franchise center. He's 23 years old. Keep building around him and developing him. Man, I'll say I'm wrong. I loved Killian Hayes in this draft. He was my 3rd player in this class. I had I had LaMelo 1, Ant 2, Killian Hayes 3, Wiseman 4, Haliburton 5. So 3 out of those 5 picks were really good. I mean, obviously, it's not that impressive having Ant and LaMelo there in your top 3, but I loved Haliburton and I loved Killian Hayes. I loved Hayes a little bit more because I thought he was just going to be an elite shooter at the next level, and he was somebody that was going to average as many assists as Haliburton is averaging. But yeah, Killian Hayes is still in Detroit, but he has not really worked out. He's probably having the best year of his career this year, and he's still a well below average shooter. He's also stealing minutes from Jaden Ivey as well in his development, so this may just be an overall net negative, him just being on the floor. But like I said, the efficiency efficiency has gotten better, so he has shown some signs of improvement because first 3 years have been pretty brutal for Killian. He's a career 38% field goal shooter, career 27% three-point shooter. The passing ability, though, is still there. I think he could be a solid player in the NBA for a decent amount of time as like a backup point guard. Oh man, Obi Toppin. He went to my Knicks here at number 8. I really wanted either Cole Anthony or Tyrese Haliburton. I would have also been cool with Devon Vela at this time. And Haliburton, like Onyeka Okongwu, was drafted to be a backup right away. Like Julius Randle was the power forward there in New York. He did not have a good 2020 season, so maybe the Knicks were like, okay, Randle isn't even going to be here for much longer. And then Randle balls out, wins most improved in 2021. And then it was just like, yeah, Toppin is never going to be in that starting lineup. He's having a career year, though, in Indiana, which I just love to see. He's actually leading the whole NBA in two-point percentage this year, 76%. He's averaging 13 points a night, shooting 60% from the field. This is definitely a career year for Obi Toppin, and I couldn't be happier. Denny Avdija went number 9 to Washington. If you look at this whole top 10, this is definitely one of the better picks of it. Denny, like Patrick Williams, Obi Toppin, really never had the opportunity to be like a top scoring option on this team because they always had either maybe Bradley Beal or Russell Westbrook, Kyle Kuzma, now Jordan Poole. But Denny does a little bit of everything, and he does it at a very solid level. He gives you 12 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, and is shooting 52% from the field and 38% from 3. He's definitely having the best year of his career by far in year 4, and he's definitely a building block for this Wizards as they're entering probably a brutal rebuild. All right, at the time, it was definitely a reach, and it did not work out. Jaylen Smith went number 10 out of Maryland to Phoenix. Just what could have been if they still traded for Chris Paul, but they also drafted Tyrese Haliburton here, and you had Haliburton, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and you still had Chris Paul. That would have been insane. Probably would have won the 2021 championship. But Jaylen Smith has definitely revived his career in Indiana. I think he definitely needed some time to development, and Phoenix was pretty impatient with him. He's given the Pacers 10 points, 5 rebounds, and shooting 70% a night for them. It's pretty much a Tyrese Haliburton effect. Number 11 was Devon Vela to San Antonio. This is who I kind of wanted my Knicks to take at number 8 if they weren't going to take a point guard because they desperately needed one. And Vesela's obviously been one of the better picks of the lottery. He's averaging 18 points this year for the San Antonio Spurs. He's shooting 48% from the field, 40% from 3, and in my opinion is the second best player on this team after Victor Wembanyama. All right, here it is. The best probably value pick in this whole draft, just where he was drafted, what he's become, and that's Tyrese Haliburton, who went 12th overall to the Sacramento Kings. The Kings, who were just such a bad drafting team in the 2010s, hit a home run in the 2017 draft getting De'Aaron Fox at number 5, and then they did it once again 3 years later, getting Tyrese Haliburton at number 12. It was a weird fit at times between Fox and Haliburton. Obviously, he ended up getting traded 2 years later in the 2022 trade deadline to Indiana in the Domantas Sabonis deal. And Haliburton this year has been a top 5 guy in the league. He's averaging 27 points, 12 assists, 4 rebounds on just insane efficiency, 52% from the field, 44% from 3, and 88% from the line. Last night, they just beat the Celtics in the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament. And I don't know if Sacramento regrets this trade because obviously they went to the playoffs last year with Domantas Sabonis as the 3 seed, and Fox has really broken out as well in his own right. But yeah, just what could have been between Fox and Haliburton as a backcourt duo. Would have Haliburton ever broken out like this? I don't think so, because he's really gelled as being that true number 1 option in Indiana. And yeah, Haliburton, top 10 guy in the NBA this season. He went 12th in this class. That is a value pick if I've ever seen one. 2 more picks in the lottery. We had Kyra Lewis, who I really liked coming out of Alabama, going to the Pelicans at number 13. This is probably going to be his last year on this team, and he's averaged 5 points throughout the first 4 years of his career on really poor efficiency. It's sad to see because I really liked him coming out of Alabama. And then 14, another player I really liked, Aaron Nesmith, coming out of Vanderbilt to the Boston Celtics. He came out as a sharp shooter and really never got to shine for Boston. He was in the Malcolm Brogdon trade in the 2022 offseason. And maybe it's also the Tyrese Haliburton effect, but he has had a career year in Indiana. It's crazy that 3 players from this draft class have had career years once they've gone into Indiana. Obi Toppin, Aaron Nesmith, and Jaylen Smith. But yeah, Nesmith is shooting 45% from 3. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league right now. So I think something we can all get out of this is be patient with these picks. And I think what also makes this draft stand out is how well the back half of the first round was. You have Cole Anthony, who's a great scorer off the bench for a top-seeded Magic team in the Eastern Conference on good efficiency. He also just got extended as well. And I really wanted my Knicks to take him at number 8. I loved him at North Carolina, and he looks like a steal at number 15. Isaiah Stewart has been a solid pick as well. He got extended from the Pistons this past offseason. Maybe he hasn't had the greatest year for, but is still a solid player. Josh Green went number 18. I think a lot of us thought he could be in the most improved conversation this year because he came on late in the 2023 season, but he's definitely been disappointing so far here in 2024. Saddiq Bey, Precious Achiuwa, 2 solid picks at 18 and 19. But Tyrese Maxey, the 20th overall pick to the 76ers, I'm not going to say saved their franchise, but maybe he did. Because since they traded James Harden, he has been one of the best scorers in the NBA. And he's improved each and every year. He's currently averaging 27 points, 4.5 rebounds, almost 7 assists a night on really good efficiency. 46 from the field, 39 from 3, and 89 from the line. This may be one of the best individual seasons Joel Embiid has ever played with. And he's also played with Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, James Harden, and prime Ben Simmons. So yeah, Sixers fans could definitely shout out Mike Muscala for them getting this pick. The Knicks getting Emmanuel quickly at 25 was also a phenomenal pick because he's turned into a $100 million player, and going at number 25 is insane value. He was runner-up in 6-man of the voting last year. He's a 15-point per game scorer. I think he could average north of 20 points per game if he was ever a starting point guard. 3 rebounds, 3 assists a night as well. 44% from the field, 37 from 3, and 88% from the line this season for the Knicks, and he's also a very solid defender as well. I'm very interested to see if quickly he's even going to be on the Knicks next year, if he's going to be on another team. Jalen McDaniels went 28th in this draft. Yeah, that was the other Minnesota Timberwolves player that I wanted to talk about. He's taken a little bit of a step back offensively this year, at least just if you look at kind of the counting numbers, because the efficiency, though, is still there. Obviously, with the emergence of Anthony Edwards, you still have Cat putting up his normal 20-plus points per game. Gobert has come back. Naz Reid has broken out. McDaniels has dropped almost 3 points per game. But like I said, the efficiency is there, still shooting 38% from 3, 58% from the field. But he's only taken 2 free throws this year, which is kind of weird to see. He's dealt with an injury this season, but he is still one of the best defenders in the league. He was a top 5 defender in the NBA last year. His 6'9", 6'10 frame really gives him that ability to be an elite player on that side of the floor. I really liked him out of Washington. I thought he should have went in the lottery at that time. It was definitely a high risk, high reward pick. So I'm surprised that he just didn't go closer to the lottery. Man, I really evaluated this class well, in my opinion, better than some other years, because I love Desmond Bane. I thought he should have went in the top 20, 100%. I thought he should have went in the top 15. I didn't have him as like my 5th best player, 7th best player in the class, but I liked him more than a lot of other people, and he fell 30th to the Grizzlies. The Celtics actually had this pick, then they traded out of it, but I was like, why didn't Miami take him here at 19? Or Denver at 22? Or Milwaukee at 24? Because Desmond Bane has been one of the best shooters in the NBA since he's entered the league. He's averaging 24 points per game this season, 4 rebounds, 5 assists a night, and over the last 3 years, he's been a top 3 player on this Grizzlies squad. He's been one of the better overall shooting guards in the NBA, definitely been top 10 in that department, and is an absolute steal at number 30. There's been some solid second-round role players as well, like Trey Jones, KJ Martin, Isaiah Joe, but definitely wasn't as good as the 2018 second round. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about from this 2020 draft class, man. There were some superstars in this class, like Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and Tyrese Haliburton. There's pretty much Tyrese Maxey and Desmond Bane on the outside looking in right into that superstar tier. And then there's some really good players outside of that as well, like Devon Vela, Cole Anthony, Emmanuel Quickly, Jalen McDaniels, and a lot of good role players. So yeah, I think whenever you hear that this 2024 draft class may not be all that, it's because it doesn't have a Victor Wembanyama. Just remember that the 2020 draft class heard those same things throughout that whole collegiate season. So yeah, that is gonna be for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you want to see me talk about maybe the brutal 2019 draft class, drop a thumbs up on this video. And if you guys enjoy these style of NBA talk videos, I'd love to hear that in the comments below. It does mean a lot when I hear that from you guys. So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy. Love y'all. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.